Administrative changes after 1858, chapter 7. Administrative changes after 1858, chapter number 7. Now, administration. Means what? Why to study administration? So that you can understand that administration fulfills the needs of the state. Administration fulfills the needs of the state and the people. The structure which will fulfill the needs of the state and the people. Structure, administration means a structure which will fulfill the needs of the state and the people. So, needs of which state and which people? Not Indian state and Indian people, they are slaves. Not of Indians, not of India or Indians, no, they are slaves. Not of India and Indians, they are slaves. Then whose interest? British, Britain and British. Britain and British. Now, what are the needs of Britain and British? This we have to clarify. Once we clarify the need of Britain and British, we will be able to connect with the new administrative structure. We will immediately understand everything. Oh, this first is happening. This feature. In this chapter, I will discuss point by point everything, that how the new administrative structure was fulfilling the needs of Britain and British. Studying is not important. What to study and how to study. So now it has become clear. Okay, administration fulfills the needs of the state and the people. So now this new administrative structure is not going to fulfill the needs of India or Indians because they are slaves. So this administration will fulfill the needs of Britain and British. Find out. Find out. So now, revolt of 1857 gave a jolt to British administration in India. Revolt of 1857, such a massive revolt in which mass participation. Alone in UP, 1,50,000 people were killed, 1 lakh were civilians. It was not only a Sepoy mutiny, 1,50,000. People have died. Out of 1,50,000, 1 lakh were civilians. This was the jolt. Sepoys revolted, discontent. Kings revolted, discontent. Masses. So now, administrative reorganization. Administrative reorganization became inevitable. People are not ready to live with your structure. So now you have to redefine, restructure the administrative. You have to redefine and restructure the administrative system in India. Now, 1750 Industrial Revolution started in England. Industrial Revolution started in England. What was required? Capital. Capital was required. So this was the phase of plunder through bribes and gifts. Money is flowing to England. You see, the entire administrative structure is centered around this. Entire administrative structure. Company is clear, we have to pull out the money. Why? To enhance our export, to enhance our conquest, to consolidate our position. See, company is clear. Money is required to enhance export. Money is required to enhance conquest. Money is required to consolidate the achievement in India. This was the need. Money is required to enhance export. Money is required to enhance conquest. Money is required to consolidate what has been conquered. So entire administrative structure centered around this. You have already gone through civil services, police, army, permanent settlement. See how administration, this is a very important thing. This was the need. First need, promote export. Second need, conquest. Third need, consolidate. So, what were the new administrative developments? Civil services, police, army, and permanent settlement. See, so administration fulfills the need of the state. See, enhance understanding, understand the Chakravyuh, and win the war. Simple. Now, if you are preparing public administration as your optional, you have to learn from here. Now, after 1850s, the needs have changed. Why? Emergence of new industrialized nations. Germany, Italy, Japan, US, plus the era of capital investment. After 100 years of industrial revolution, the British capitalist wanted a new area of investment, and India was a very good option. So now what is the need? To consolidate your empire in India and to extend in different parts of the world. Consolidate India and to extend in different parts of the world. Then only British supremacy will be maintained. E is equal to E. Economy is equal to empire. If you lose the empire, economy is equal to empire. If you lose the empire, economy will be over. Economy is the mother of empire. Consolidate and extend. The need has changed. If the need has changed, administrative structure will change. So you have to consolidate your hold on India because you are going to invest in India. You have to save the money of British capitalists. And you have to extend the British Empire in different parts of the world. And these two things will be visible in the reactionary policies. These two things will be visible in reactionary policies of the viceroys. Lytton to Curzon, Lansdowne, Elgin. Their concepts are very clear. They know what they have to do. They are very clear. No loopholes. No scope for any other revolt. No disturbance in India. India is a prized achievement for them in the world. Until they maintain control on India, their empire will be extended in different parts of the world. The sun will continue shining in the world till India is in the hand of British. And this led to the birth of a new administrative structure. Next heading, administration. The first heading of this chapter, administration. In administration, the first thing, Act of 1858. Now here only you should know one thing. The two parts of modern India, 1757 to 1857, 1857 to 1947, this is the part of the company. And in this part you have Charter Acts. Charter Act of 1813, Charter Act of 1830, 33, Charter Act of 1853. What are they? Permission letters. 1757 to 1857, company is controlling India. So you have Charter Acts here, which I have already discussed. 1813, 1833, 1853. This part is the part of British Crown. And here you will have Acts. (1858), 1861, 1892. What are they? The rules and regulations framed by British Parliament. Rules and regulations framed by British Parliament to govern India. This is the first point of difference which you have to remember. The two parts, Charter Act and India Council Act. Now the first one, Act of 1858. The Act for Betterment of India. All the rights of the company has been slowly taken away by the British government. After 1784, Board of Control. 1853, company was a mere caretaker. 1853, company is a mere caretaker. Now the needs have changed. The needs have changed and revolt has taken place, which was a jolt to the administration. So this became a strong ground for the British Crown to snatch away the company's achievement. So first feature was transfer of power. Transfer of power from company to Crown. Company's work was done. Company's task was over. Company has conquered the Indian subcontinent. But now the needs have changed. You should always remember the needs. Now the new needs are to counter the rising tide of new industrialized nations and to protect the British capital. Being invested in different parts of the world, importantly, India. Needs. So transfer of power. Now British Crown said to the East India Company, okay, very good, thank you, you have done your job, over, please. This was the first thing. Second thing, Board of Control and Court of Directors out of the game. So now who will control India? Secretary of State. Secretary of State with 15 members council. Secretary of State with 15 members council. Office in London. He was the member of British Parliament and a cabinet minister in British Parliament. Before 1858, who was controlling India? Court of Directors and Board of Control. Court of Directors on behalf of company. Board of Control on behalf of Crown. From 1784, the two bosses of India, both were abolished. Now the new boss of India, Secretary of State with 15 members council. His office was in London. He was the member of British Parliament and he was a cabinet minister in British Parliament. Now wait, relax. What you will do generally, you will mug up all these things. Wait. His office is in London. So he will be under the influence of British bankers. He will be under the influence of British merchants. He will be under the influence of British capitalists. His office is in London. So he will be under the influence of British bankers, British merchants, British capitalists. So his policies will move around British bankers, British merchants, British capitalists. First development. Second development, the Indian administration is now in the hand of British Parliament. The Indian administration was in the hand of British Parliament. The most important development of this act, Secretary of State. India comes under the control of Secretary of State and he will decide the minutest detail. Nothing will happen without his consent. Nothing. If the government of India has to purchase a dead mouse, they have to take the permission of Secretary of State. His office is in London. He is a member of British Parliament. So, two messages. First message, Indian administration is completely in the hand of British Parliament. Second message, as he is the member of British Parliament, so he will bother about British bankers, British merchants, British capitalists. Third feature, Governor General of India is now the representative of Crown. So, now he will be also called as Viceroy. Governor General of India is the representative of Crown. So, now he will also called as Viceroy. First Viceroy, Canning. This Viceroy will have an executive council. So, already having an executive council. This Viceroy will have an executive council. And this executive council will discuss and decide all the matters with majority. But Governor General had the right to override, and this power of override started from Cornwallis, if you remember, because he was given the veto power. Morley Minto. Who is Morley? Secretary of State. Who is Minto? Viceroy. Supreme Boss of India? Secretary of State. Sitting in British Parliament. The representative of that Supreme Boss? Governor General. The man on the spot. Governor General. As a representative of Crown, Viceroy. Then, fourth feature. First feature, transfer of power. Second feature, Secretary of State, the most important feature. Third feature, see, need. Again, need. So, first feature, transfer of power. Second feature, Secretary of State. Third feature, Governor General and Viceroy. Fourth, portfolio system. So, basically the advice of Canning, portfolio system. Portfolio system, Home Minister, you see today, Indian government, Home Minister, HRD Minister, Sports Minister, Defence Minister. So, dividing the administration into different departments and giving the charge to individual ministers, it starts from here, portfolio system. Departments to individual ministers. Fourth feature of 1858. First feature, transfer of power. Second feature, Secretary of State, the most important feature. Third feature, Governor General cum Viceroy. Fourth feature, portfolio system. What was the need of this portfolio in 1765? You are running Bengal, Bihar, Odisha. Was this needed in 1765? No. When the administrative setup started, when the administrative setup was born in 1765, was there any need? No. You are running Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. But in 1858, you are running entire Indian subcontinent. need. Who's the boss of India? British Parliament. Parliament will give the guarantee to its bankers, merchants, capitalists. Don't worry, you go and invest in India. I am the guarantee. State is the guarantee. Company is gone. The requirement of company is over. Governor General, representative of British Parliament, Viceroy, representative of British Crown. And a new setup emerges. But then, where is the betterment for India? You have said Act of 1858, betterment for India. Where is the betterment? The Act of 1858 promised betterment of India. But who will decide this betterment of India? British Parliament. The Act of 1858 said betterment of India. Who will decide? British Parliament. Necessity is the mother of invention. And you are saying to the entire international community that we are on civilizing mission. So what you are doing for that civilizing the people of India? At least you have to show that we are doing something. So this led to the coming of Act of 1861. कि भैया betterment of India will not be decided by British Parliament, betterment of India will be decided by Indian Parliament. So this led to the birth of Imperial Legislative Council. Very important development. Imperial Legislative Council. Very revolutionary development. Governor General's Executive Council was extended. Governor General's Executive Council was extended between 6 to 12 members. Who will extend? Governor General. Governor General's Executive Council will be extended between 16 to 12 members. Half will be non-official. Non-official, Indian rulers, their ministers, zamindars, Indian businessmen, and they all are the puppets of British government. Half of non-official, Indian rulers, Indian ministers, the ministers of these rulers, Indian zamindars, Indian businessmen, half non-official. Indian or English, both. For what? For making laws. Imperial Legislative Council for making laws. Now they can show to the world, see, we have created legislature in India. This was the most revolutionary part of Act of 1861. We have created legislature. Imperial Legislative Council. Act of 1861, the most revolutionary thing. There are three organs of the government. Legislature, judiciary, executive. Judiciary, executive was already present. Lawmaking power was in the hand of Governor General and his council. But now British Parliament has to give the message to the entire world. You see, India has its own legislative council. So Imperial Legislative Council. Governor General's Executive Council will be extended between 6 to 12 members, half of them will be non-officials, whether Indian or English. And what is the duty? The duty is to make the laws. But this executive council was simply an advisory body. It was not a mini parliament or the beginning of parliament. No, it was simply an advisory body. How? They cannot ask questions. Budget was beyond their reach. No control on executive. Etc., etc., etc. It was like the court of medieval king, pre-modern king. It was like court of pre-medieval, pre-modern king, simply. It was simply like a court of pre-modern king. Digvijay Singh, Raja of Balrampur, was included in this legislature. He did not know English. People asked him, sir, you don't know English? Now, how you sit in the legislature? How you understand what Viceroy is saying? And how you know on which issue you have to raise the hand or on the issue which you have to put down the hand? He said, very simple, yaar. I simply watch the Viceroy. When he raises the hand, I also raise. When he puts down, I also put down. If this type of people will sit in the parliament, who raise the hand on seeing others, and Charles Wood says that whenever a country is controlled by an alien government, despotism, this is called as alien despotism. Alien despotism. What a beautiful term. They can ask a question on mains here. After 1858, alien despotism was established in India. Do you agree with this statement? Alien despotism. And Charles Wood, the statement of Charles Wood is given there. He says, whenever a country is controlled by an alien government, despotism is the only way. So now, the world is also happy and British Parliament is also happy. Wonderful development, but thunder for India. Central administrative structure was clear. Secretary of State, Governor General, Viceroy. Imperial Legislative Council to make the laws. Now, provincial administration. Provincial administration were divided into two parts. First one, presidencies. Presidencies. Three presidencies. Calcutta, Bombay, Madras. They were governed by Governor General and his executive council. of 3, and they were appointed by Crown. They had more rights and more power. Presidencies. The 3 nodal points which led to the establishment of British Empire in India. Directly in the hand of Crown. So, all these presidencies had governor and executive council of 3 and appointed by Crown. They had more powers and more rights. This privilege was given because they were the nodal points for the birth of British Empire in India. But then British provinces. British provinces. Under the command of lieutenant governors. Or commissioners. Now, Charter Act of 1833 established highly centralized government. Highly centralized government. How? First thing, the right to pass the laws was taken away. Was taken away. Who took away? Center. Charter Act of 1833 established highly centralized government in India. Provinces lost the right of making laws. This was taken away by the center. And second, expenditure subjected to strict central control. Now pay attention. 1833. Bengal, South India, Deccan is under the control of English. 3 areas. Bengal, South India and Deccan. 1833. And it was the phase of consolidation. So, it got maintained. How many areas were? Bengal, South India and Deccan was in the control of English. Sindh, Punjab, Awadh is still outside. Plus, it was the era of conquest and consolidation. But after 1857, entire Indian subcontinent under British control. Entire Indian subcontinent. This Charter Act takes away the right of making laws. Expenditure is subjected to strict central control. Fine. English are passing through conquest and consolidation. 2/4 of the territory of India is under their control. But after 1857, entire Indian subcontinent was under the control of English. And whenever there will be a large territory, decentralization will be a natural phenomenon. Mauryans, 5 provinces. Patliputra, Takshila, Avanti, Kaling. Mauryans ruling the entire Indian subcontinent. They also had 5 provinces. So when Mauryans had 5 provinces, Mughals during the time of Akbar 12 subas. Mauryans, whenever there will be a large territory, Mauryans 5 provinces. They divided entire Indian subcontinent into 5 provinces. Takshila, Patliputra, Avanti. During the time of Akbar, how many subas? He starts the suba system. Suba. What do you call province? 12 subas. And now, British, they have to also strengthen the provincial administration. Necessity is the mother of invention. A huge territory cannot be controlled through centralization. It's not possible. Aurangzeb committed this blunder. Muhammad bin Tughlaq committed this blunder. A huge, a vast territory like Indian subcontinent. When I say Indian subcontinent, you have to include India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. A vast territory of Indian subcontinent cannot be controlled from a single center. And the evil of centralization was mainly reflected in financial sector. Vast territory. See the example. A vast territory. A vast territory cannot be managed through centralization. Who did this blunder? Aurangzeb. Who did this blunder? Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And you have to learn from the blunder. Plus, this centralization, the evil of this centralization, the evil of this centralization was mainly visible in finance. Finance. The entire expenditure of the state is subjected to strict central control. How central will come to know what is required in Tamil Nadu? What is the requirement in Sindh, Bengal, Assam, Northeast? Every territory has its own requirement. And this prepared the ground for provincial decentralization in India. Very important. This prepared the ground for provincial decentralization. First step was taken by Lord Mayo, 1870. What he said? Fixed sum. Fixed sum of money will be given to the state. Fixed sum of money will be given from center to the state. Not only money will be given, some duty will also be given. Which duty? The duty will be given to manage police, jail, road, medical services, police, jail, road, medical services, education. So center will give you a fixed sum of money. Kisab, you take this money and you manage police, jail, road, medical services, education. But they are not the only task for the state. Plus the fixed money you have given according to your assessment. Sometimes you see Indian parents, they are staying in Delhi, and then they will say, "Ara, 15,000 per month is more than enough, bhaiya. 15,000 you will not get a kitchen in Rajendra Nagar." So apart from 15,000, if you develop your own source of income, you take 2 tuition classes and you are getting 10,000 extra. So 15,000 from the family, 10,000 from you. This was done by Lytton. Who started? Mayo. Starting by Mayo. But then administration, as per their wish, bola bhaiya, you run as you want. But then the challenges existed, so this decentralization was taken ahead by Lytton. Lytton moved ahead. He said, you take fixed sum, fine, fixed sum continued, and jail, police, education, medical service, road, plus land revenue. Land revenue, excise, general administration, law and justice. This was already given by Mayo. This was the addition. This was the addition. This was the new addition. Land revenue, excise, general administration, law and justice. So Lytton said, 15,000 father is already giving. You take 2 tuitions. Manage your own source. So he not only extends the area of administration, apart from fixed sum, he says, apart from fixed sum, he says, collect the needed money from certain sources, additional. So fixed sum is already there. Center will give the fixed sum, but as the administrative area has increased, so you require more money. So you collect the additional money from certain sources. Which source? Stamp, excise, and income tax. This was the new thing. See, now state will get the fixed sum from center, which has started by Mayo, plus state will collect money from its own sources. Stamp. People are going to buy the house, stamp duty. People are going to buy the car, stamp duty. For everything, stamp duty. Excise and income tax. But then things were still in trouble. And 1882, Ripon comes out with a noble formula. The entire taxation system gets divided, decentralization. The previous structure was over. No fixed sum will be given from the center. No. A new system was born. General taxes, the taxes collected by center. Provincial taxes, the taxes collected by the state, and then concurrent, the taxes divided between center and state. The scientific approach of financial devaluation. The scientific approach of financial decentralization. General taxes, taxes collected by center. Provincial taxes, taxes collected by a state. Then concurrent taxes, taxes divided between center and state. The game of grant from the center was over. No fixed grant. End of fixed grant from center. The scientific division of taxes between center and state. A proper financial decentralization. And financial decentralization will strengthen political decentralization. Province will become an entity. You have to create a provincial legislative council. Who will manage executive? Legislature. And this financial decentralization was not, this was not for provincial autonomy. No. Not at all. This was not for Indians' participation in provinces. Not at all. Not for Indians' participation. Not for provincial autonomy. No, they were not the noble things. Not for provincial autonomy. Not for Indian participation. Then for what? Then for what? This administrative reorganization, see how the NCERT writes, this administrative reorganization was done to keep down the expenditure. To keep down the expenditure and increase income. This was the goal. A question of mains will come from here. Narrate the story of financial and political decentralization during British rule in India. Need. What is the need? To keep down the expenditure. Where they will use this and increase the income. Where they will use? To strengthen the army. To use this army against the emerging rivals outside. Japan, Germany, Italy. To keep down the expenditure. Increase the income. This increased income will be used in the army. Because you have to protect India. You have to give assurance to the investors in India. Railway investment we will discuss in the next chapter. The railway investors from Britain. Indian government gave them assurance. See what is the need. All this financial decentralization is not done for Indians. No. This is done to increase the army of the strength. To increase the strength of the army, and this is done to give guarantee to British investors. Don't worry. Even if your venture fails, the assured return will be given to you by Indian government. Need. Indian army will be strengthened to protect the Indian frontiers and assurance of return to whom? British capitalist. Need. So central administration, provincial administration. Local bodies. Local bodies. Preface, reasons, features. This is also a way to prepare a heading. You read it, divide it into different parts. Preface. Now, first heading, preface. This is also a way to prepare a heading. Preface. The entire paragraph will talk about these three things. Every subheading which you see in the book talks about what, why, how. Break it. Simple, break it. Preface. Financial difficulties. Financial difficulties, you know very well that British government cannot spend the money on India and Indians. Need, the word need should always be in mind. British government cannot spend the money on India and Indians. It has to spend the money on army. It has to spend the money on return. This is the era of emergence of new industrialized nations. This is the era of capital investment by British merchants, bankers and capitalists in India. These two things always be kept in mind. Always. So they cannot spend money on India and Indians. So financial difficulties led to further decentralization of administration. Further decentralization of administration into what? Municipalities and district boards. Simple. British government will not spend the money on India and Indians. So central administration is already designed. Provincial administration, financial decentralization we discussed. Mayo, Lytton, Ripon. And now urban centers and rural areas. Who will take the charge of these things? So local bodies. municipalities and district boards. And here the English gave the slogan, local bodies with local taxes. Local bodies with local taxes on the name of welfare. Local bodies with local taxes on the name of welfare. Sanitation, education, health, water supply, etc. Why? Why? The idea from modern Europe. Emergence of new administrative centers. Nationalists demanding civic amenities. Presidency towns were becoming the model. Plus, they cannot ignore these developments. Cannot ignore. Cannot increase more taxes on the people. Cannot impose on British subjects, British planters, civil servants, businessmen. Cannot ignore, cannot increase more taxes on people, cannot impose on British subjects. So they gave the slogan, local bodies, local taxes on the name of welfare. See how you summarized it. Reasons, second heading. See how you summarized, picture is clear. The idea is coming from modern Europe. Emergence of new administrative centers. Cities are emerging as a new administrative centers. Then nationalists demanding civic amenities. Then presidency towns are becoming the model. Presidency towns are becoming the model. Cannot ignore. Who will run the cities? Cannot increase more taxes on people. It will increase the discontent. Cannot impose on British subjects, British planters, British civil servants, British merchants. So they said, local bodies and local taxes on two grounds. First one, welfare, and second, association of Indians into the lowest political order. Now Indians cannot become member of parliament, Indians cannot become member of legislative assembly, but then Indians can become what? Chairman of MCP, Municipal Corporation of Prayagraj. Indians cannot become member of parliament from Prayagraj. Indians cannot become member of legislative assembly from Prayagraj. But Indians can become chairman of Municipal Corporation Prayagraj. So two grounds, welfare and political association. See, this is what you call mind. This is what you call mind, management, mastery. Mind, management, mastery. You are very clear that British government will not spend the money on Indians and India because they have to spend money on army and British investment after 1850s. This thing should be fitted in mind. Then you will be able to connect everything. And without connectivity, you will not understand. And without understanding, you cannot express. No connectivity, no understanding. No understanding, no expression. You will never be able to master mains. Never. No connectivity. No connectivity. No understanding. No understanding, no expression. You won't be able to write. This is the formula for mains. If you want to develop control on mains, what you have to do? You have to develop connectivity, understanding and expression. Once you are able to connect, you will understand. Once you will understand, you will express. Evidence, see, evidence. Evidence, see, administration. British administration after 1850. Governed by two main factors. First factor, expenditure on army. Why? To counter the new industrialized nations. To counter the new industrialized nations. To consolidate India. Second, return. To whom? British capitalist. British bankers, British merchants, British traders, British planters, we will discuss in the next chapter. These are the two objectives of administration after 1850s. So, central administration. The main boss, Secretary of State, dealing minutest detail, minutest, because he has to protect British interest. Governor General and Viceroy. Then provincial administration. Financial decentralization started by Mayo, promoted by Lytton, taken to its peak, Ripon. And then local administration. Now this entire diagram will be asked as a mains question, my dear. This entire diagram will be asked as a mains question. British administration after 1850s was governed by the forces of industrialization and capitalism. Comment. Then what you will do? Then you will think, this was not taught in the class. Parrots never become Buddha. Parrots never become Buddha. and this is a law. Parents never become Buddha. See? See how NCERT, it's not NCERT, I said in the beginning, it's not NCERT. It's not an NCERT course. What you are thinking? It's an NCERT course. No. It's a course to break the Chakravyuh of civil services. This is the course which has started from 15th November 2023. Still the fees is 2200. Still the fees is 2200. After that, the fees will be 5000 per subject. Your wish. Those who took risk, they purchased in 1100. This is not only NCERT. This is the way I am telling you to break the door of